Hey folks, welcome back. I'm Dr. Lon Schiffbauer, and today we are talking about power and influence and how this is applied in the workforce. Now, before we do this, I want to kind of get some ideas out there for us to consider as we explore this topic. The first is that everyone is a leader. As it says here, you all possess and exert power and influence in the various spheres of your life. You are a friend, you are a sibling, you are a spouse, you are an employee, you are an employer. There are many spheres in which you occupy in your life, and you exert a certain level of power and influence in every one of these spheres. We're going to explore that today. Um, the thing is, though, if you don't really understand the root of your power, the root of your influence, then you cannot exert it properly. So we want to learn that. Now, I'm talking about power and influence, right? And here's the thing when it comes to the idea of power. It can be a loaded term. If somebody were to come up to you and say, I want more power, you might be like, dude, that sounds kind of maniacal and like you're a megalomaniac or something like that. On the other hand, if we say, I want more influence, well, who doesn't want more influence? So consider power like influence. And power, well, in a way, it's like fire. It's neither good nor bad. The word we would use to describe it is amoral. It's not moral, it's not immoral, it's amoral. It lacks a moral construct. Power, like fire, is not necessarily good or bad. It all depends on how we use it. Okay, so those are the ideas that I wanted to toss out there. The next thing I want to ask you to do as we go through these ideas is take a moment, pull out a piece of paper, something like that, and think about, as we go through these different types of power and influence, how do you influence others? And how do you allow others to influence you in these various ways? Okay, just something to think about. All right, now let's first start with a question. Why do you listen to me? I mean, you're watching this video right now. Why? Why are you listening? Well, there's probably a few things, right? Maybe your instructor assigned this video for your course, in which case the authority and power and influence of your instructor kind of washes on over to me for a moment. Who knows, right? Maybe you've watched other videos and you're like, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about. He has a PhD in psychology. He has this work experience. The guy seems to know his stuff, and I need this information for whatever reason. It could be that you just recognize the fact that I am just damn good looking, and you want to hang out with me, and you want others to see my incredibly handsome face on your phone so that they think, wow, you hang out with someone like him? I know, right? I get that sort of thing a lot. The point is, for whatever reason, you are listening to me, which means I am in some way or another exerting some level of power and influence. Well, now, where's this power and influence rooted? Well, there's two main categories of power and influence, and each one of them have three subsections, all right? So the first one is formal power or authority, all right? So formal power and authority, the three subsections to this include formal, legitimate, or position power. Legitimate position power, meaning you're above somebody in an organizational structure. There's an org structure somewhere. This is the boss. This is the employees. This is the professor. These are the students. There's some sort of formal structure in which different people occupy different tiers of that hierarchy. Okay, great, fine. And if you're watching this video because it was assigned for a course, then I'm kind of occupying that position because even though I may not be your professor assigned it, right? Therefore, that kind of formal stuff rubs off on me. Now, here's the thing. I maintain that most of the time when we talk about power and influence in the workplace and so on, we think about this. We think of org structures, we think of bosses, we think of reporting hierarchies. I maintain, though, that this is the least effective form of power and influence. And I'll show you why. This form of power and influence is very, very transitory, temporary. So, for instance, with my students, I exercise this level, these formal levels that were three, not four, three, three. I can exert these three types of power for so long as the semester's in place. But after the semester's over, I'm dead to them, right? I'm dead to my students. Not really, we'll talk about that. But the point is, these are forms of power and influence that are granted from on high, an organization, a college, a university, a company, or whatever, to whomever it is that wields that power. And it can be taken away, or you can quit, you can leave the class, and so on and so forth, and that power of influence disappears. All right, let me give you another example. Next one is reward power, the ability to give something that others want. Now, once again, as a professor, I am the holder and grantor of points. Yes, you want points. You want points because that's what gives you the grades and GPA and access to other programs and internships and yada, 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 right? So therefore, I can reward points and my students want the points. And so I can exercise a certain degree of power and influence. They will do as I ask to get the points. And what do I ask? Do this assignment, hand it in on time, use this format, take this test, include this material, add references. They're going to do all these things, not because I'm handsome. I know you keep fixating on that, but because I can award points. All right, next one. We also have coercive power, right? The ability to take something away that they want to keep, right? So it's the opposite of reward of reward power, right? This is the ability to take away rather than reward. So for example, in my classes, I give a lot of time for students to work in teams and to do their work in class so they don't have to do the homework outside, right? And who doesn't want that? Well, I could take that away. I don't, right? But if for some reason or another the students just ticked me off to an apocalyptic degree, I, in theory, could take that away. I don't. Or I provide lots of extra credit. But if for some reason or another I felt like I was being, taken advantage of or abused or not appreciated, you got to appreciate me. If I didn't feel like I was being appreciated, I could take away the extra credit opportunities. Okay? So that's coercive power. Now, I want to reiterate all those forms of power, they were granted from on high and they're very transitory. As soon as you no longer work for that company, that boss no longer has power. As soon as you no longer are in that class, that professor no longer has power. And you get it, right? But now there's a second kind of power with three subsections that really is true, meaningful influence. And this is personal power or persuasion. All right, let's explore these. The first type of personal power or persuasion is expert power, possessing a skill or ability that makes you valuable to others. Yeah, you're going to keep me around because I know how to do this and nobody else does, and you need it done. Think about your own workplace, right? Is there somebody at work, and maybe it's you, is there somebody at work that is kind of like the go-to person? Yes, I know that if I need to get this done, I have to fill out these forms, I have to enter in this data, and I need to submit this request, or I can just call Linda because Linda gets stuff done. And so Linda is valuable to you because she can help you get things done that need to be gotten done. It's not a word. If you're transcribing this, that was not a word. Okay, so expert power is pretty darn powerful, pretty darn important, so long as you need that expertise. Now, as a professor, I have expertise in the topics which we are discussing. And so for that short period of time, I have some degree of expert power because, hey, if you want to learn this stuff, I know this stuff, I can help teach you and so on and so forth. So long as it's in a class that I know something about. All right. By the way, PhD in organizational psychology, which is all about this stuff. So I know this stuff. Okay. Next one is reverent power, right? Admired by others, inspiring them to want to follow you. So this is what charismatic leadership is sort of all about. The idea that folks admire you, respect you, want to be like you. Do you have a younger brother or sister, a younger sibling, and maybe you're off in college or you're starting your first career and so forth, and they sort of look up to you and they want to be with you all the time, and it's annoying as all get out. Well, that's referent power, right? They admire you, they look up to you, they want to be like you. It's actually referent power that gives power to what is it? Oh gosh, when you hire a celebrity, endorsements, there we go. Celebrity endorsements. It's all about referent power. I want to wear this. I want to drive this because this celebrity, in theory, wears this or drives this and so forth. That is referent power. So if you have a professor or a boss or your spouse or a friend who you just stinking admire, they're really awesome, they're going to be able to influence you because, well, heck, you want to be their friend. And same thing goes when others admire you. Okay, third one. Third one is network power. Having people in your network who others want in their own networks. So you know people, and you know people who other people want to know and would like you to introduce them to, and so on and so forth. So, for instance, as a college professor, I write a lot of recommendations for my students and do some referrals and some references and things like that. Well, that's because I have people in my network that my students would like to be connected with. So I know hiring managers, I know HR managers, I know CEOs and so forth. And my students are like, oh, I'd love to meet that person. Hey, we can hook you up. Therefore, my students will be inclined to do well in my class and do as I ask, because ultimately they want that recommendation and they want that introduction to somebody who can really launch their career forward. So the network power is very important from that perspective. Okay? So think about it. How do you influence others with these 6 different types of power, and how do others influence you using these 6 types of powers? And I really mean it. If you don't understand how you influence and persuade others and how you allow others to influence and persuade you, then you're more of a sheep than an autonomous being in your own life. You want to be an autonomous being in your own life. You don't want to just be a means to an end for somebody else. So this stuff is important and powerful. Powerful. Okay? So there you go. You now have a competitive advantage because you understand how power is used to influence your future and your direction. So go off, use it for good, and until we talk again, have a fantastic day.